Hey, this is Akiva from Twisted Tree Farm, looking at hazelnuts today. I think they have to be the easiest tree that produces fruit or nuts to establish that I've worked with, and I've messed around with a lot of different types of plants. These are hybrid hazelnuts. They're a cross between American and European genetics. Just take a, there's my dog, that's Yara. Anyways, these nuts are ripe right now. It's first week in September, and a lot of people ask how they tell if they're ripe. It's really easy. If you can open up the husk and the nut can free from the husk, then it's ripe. And I can't really say enough good things about these nuts. They're really easy to grow, like I was saying. These are a shrub type. This planting is 4 years old, and it receives minimal care. I mow the grass a couple times a year, and sometimes we stomp the weeds back like once a year. Just with my feet, I'll just walk through and push the weeds to the side just to make sure the plants have enough light. They start making nuts sometimes in their second year, sometimes in the third year, and more often in the fourth year. But you can see some of them have quite a few nuts on them. These bushes are going to get about, I don't know, 8 or 9 feet tall and wide, and they'll make a lot more nuts than this, but they're just starting. This is the first year that I'm harvesting from this row. And just to give you an idea of how tough these plants are, I pretty much just knife them right into the ground, and they don't get any mulch or any special treatment. They deal with a lot of competition from the grass and goldenrod and stuff like that. And this soil is Volusia soil. It's the worst soil series in New York State. I just dug up a swale to plant another row of hazelnuts right here, and you can see how, I mean, there's like water standing in the ground even without the swale, but that's what the soil looks like. There's about, I don't know, a few inches of topsoil, and then it's just clay hard pan. So that's why I break up the ground and make these swales. The swale is just so the plants aren't drowning, you know, because the water table is so high, and the Volusia is just pure clay. So I just cut the earth with the front loader, pile up some topsoil, and then I like to do that in late summer. I just did this a few days ago, and then I'll just kind of let this settle and break down. The sod will break down. It won't die, but a lot of it will die. And then in the spring it'll be perfect for planting. I could throw a cover crop on here now if I did everything right, but who has time for that? So to do everything right. So you just do what you can when you can, and very easy to establish bushes. They grow really well, and then the crops that they make, it's a hazelnut, right? And so you're thinking of the nut, you're thinking of like Nutella, or you're thinking of sitting around the fire cracking hazelnuts. But these are, to me, they're more like a staple food. This is like having bushes that make beans or something, or you know, like a protein oil crop that will just be here for the rest of my life and my kids' life. And they could come up here, you know, if all the grocery stores shut down, that kind of thing happened, you would just have bands of hazelnuts across the land. Just, you know, I think there's a lot of different estimates, but I think 1,000 pounds an acre is a pretty reasonable estimate with these hybrid hazelnuts. I mean, just look at this little tiny bush here. It's only a few years old, a few feet high, and it's just covered in nuts. And these nuts store really well. So the dry hazelnuts, this is a small one. The dry hazelnuts, it doesn't matter how big. I could get to that in a minute. But they store indefinitely. And when they're in the shell, all they have to do is be dried, put in a rodent-proof container like a jar or a tote bin, and they will keep for years. Once they're cracked, once a nut is cracked, then they can go rancid and, you know, things can spoil. But when they're in the shell, they really do keep for years. And you can do all kinds of things. You can press them into oil. You can make flours from them. You can make nut butters. You can crack them and roast them. We use a lot of different tools for processing nuts. I think that would have to be separate videos. But we use a Dave-built nutcracker to crack these out, and you can crack them in mass doing that. But what a really enjoyable, satisfying plant to grow is hazelnuts. I don't know why more people aren't planting them. It seems like a lot of people are, but I feel like they should just be everywhere, and we should have hazelnut farms springing up left and right. We sort of are, but it certainly could be a lot more. Anyway, thanks for watching this short video on the hazelnut. I hope it inspires some of you to establish your own plantings, and maybe you'll take better care of them than I did this one. I just mow the grass and see what lives, and pretty much all of them do. Oh, I should say a word about spacing before I end it. So the rows here are about 12 feet apart. Now that I've been growing them a little bit longer, I think I would go wider, more like 15 to 20 feet apart, because the bushes do get really wide, and they can close in. It makes it hard to even walk or mow down the aisles once they're mature. And then in the row, I think anywhere between 3 and 6 feet is pretty great, and they'll make a nice hedge. We can take a look actually at some plants here that are older, that are more established. These ones are 5 years old, and they're a lot bigger. But you can see how they're going to make a hedge here, and they're going to close it off. And I like hedges because they will block out weeds, and that's all I'll really have here is hazelnuts. Won't have a lot of other things sprouting up in here. We already picked a lot of these nuts, which is why some of these bushes look empty. But these were, some of these were just absolutely loaded. So, you know, it's pretty cool. 4 or 5 years and you're harvesting nuts. All right. Thank you very much.